been kind of busy this week. I went to the U-Pull yard yesterday and today. Today is Saturday. I found some really cool stuff that I may try and work into the Camaro. Some of it, I don't know, might be too difficult to work into it, but definitely cool stuff. Like, I've been trying to find door handles that I really like without having to buy $600 Kindig-It door handles to just kind of change the look and the feel of the car. So yesterday I found these door handles here. So they got the lever on the back side that pushes on the lever to unlatch the latch, but I think maybe I can work them in to the Camaro. Maybe I can recess them and put in a, because see, all you do is the center part comes up and that activates the lever. So thinking I might put a push button switch inside the door for that lever to push, and then just use some solenoids like for shaving door handles, and then so when you pull up on that, then it hits the switch, and then the switch pulls the solenoid to unlatch the door so you can open it. And I might be able to recess them into the door a little ways, and then maybe put a scallop, just, you know, put more of a rounded scallop in the door so that you can just reach in underneath it and you know, but basically the part that's sitting there won't move, only the little part that looks like a comb moves. Alright, I went home to edit and there was a whole bunch of footage missing, so I had to come back so I could re-record it. So I got several things going. I've got some taillight options that I was looking at. In the U-Pull yard was a 2019 Nissan Sentra, and they've got pretty nice taillights. So this ridge along the tail lamp, I was thinking I might be able to run that down the body line of the Camaro. Of course, maybe just angle the tail light in the back end to keep it level with the top. But maybe I could work that into the side maybe a bit or something. Get it to sit in. That might be kind of cool. But I don't know. I mean, there's a possibility that I could turn it over, maybe mold it in this direction, maybe something in that area, maybe. But you know, they've got these kind of like reflector sides on that kind of make the whole light. So I could try and do that, or I thought maybe I can try these tail lamps, maybe set them in sideways, kind of make a custom panel in the back, set these in, maybe I can make an extension off of them, wise, you know. These are the tail lights off of the 1960 Rambler. So I've got those. The lenses themselves are relatively inexpensive on eBay for new old stock. I also grabbed these bumperettes from the same Rambler, and I was thinking the shape, I mean, they're almost like a split bumper shape, but I think a bit wider. And they're stout. They're old school chrome, thick, heavy. So this one will probably have to do some straightening with the dent and stuff, but I was thinking maybe I could get them, you know, tuck them in or whatever, and go for kind of a split bumper, kind of a split bumper look in the rear. So that's a possibility. And then these seats that I had gotten from a Honda Cross Tour, planning on putting them in a Camaro, the brackets and all the motors from all the power, everything, they sit way too tall. So I did grab the seats from that 2019 Sentra, and I think these stock rails from the stock seats, of course this tab is busted off this one, but I have it, so I think I can still weld it back on. But I think if I take and unbolt these rails from these seats, the stock seats, then I can actually make some brackets on the bottom of these Sentra seats. And these Sentra seats, the rails are way wider than the stock Camaro ones. So I think I can make a bracket. All this handle and everything will go away. And I think I can use the stock Camaro rails, and I can make a bracket that welds between underneath tucks real tight underneath the seat. That I can then bolt the stock rails to, and then these seats will sit about an inch and a half lower, I think. And I think that's about what I measured. They were higher than the Camaro ones. So these ones are pretty nice. This driver's seat has the adjusted jacket up and down, and then the seats lean way back, where the original Camaro seats don't. And these are in pretty good shape. They're dirty, but nothing a good cleaning won't fix. I mean, heck, they're only a year old, but I think they look really good in the car. I really think those look good in the Camaro, and they sit nice. Of course, it's sitting a little high because it'll sit lower, but and I lifted the steering wheel up a little bit because the seat's too high, but they'll sit way lower if I can get those rails up and I can mount them on the original Camaro rails. And then I'm going to see if maybe I can't get the CAN bus to talk to the instrument cluster from the Sentra, because that would be kind of cool. And that would give me speedo, tachometer, you know, basically an entire gauge cluster if I can get the CAN bus to talk back and forth between those, the stock GM ECU and the Nissan gauge cluster. So that'll probably work. But yeah, those are some really nice seats. Very comfortable. They got airbags, but it doesn't matter because I'm not going to hook up any stinking airbags or nothing. So I did make a template the other night so that I can try and make a fender flare back here. I made it so that I can kind of keep the actual shape, this more squared off flat shape of the Camaro fender, versus just making a cut around there and then laying it out so that my fender edge kind of angles in, and you can, to me that just looks cheesy. So I did make that. I'll probably cut my first piece out. They're rather large because I gave it like 4 inches of extra material. So I think the first one I'll try and just cut it out of a sheet of 22 gauge just to be able to bend it up easier and see how it fits and mess with it a little bit and do a little learning. And then if that works, then what I'll do is I'll cut 3 of these out of a sheet of 20 gauge, and then that way I have one piece of metal that I can then set off to the side, hang on the wall, whatever, and then have an actual steel template if I want to make more of those fender flares. So that is kind of where I'm at on that part of things. And then of course trying to figure out how to do all this windshield wiper stuff. I might just make a panel that I can bolt down on top so that I can cut some of this out so I can get things fitted in right. I may end up having to cut out a chunk of panel so that I can get in and make a mount for the bolt that actually holds all this stuff to mount down, and then weld the panel back in and just cut a hole or whatever so you can access that bolt if you have to service it. You know, I'll probably have to do that in the 3 spaces, because I got this one here, I got one here, and then of course this one over here. So there'll be basically 1, 2, and a third one out over here that I have to make the mounts to mount to. Did take the motor off. I still can't get it in there because it hangs up on all this stuff on the cowl. So I might have to just make a bolt-on panel that I can bolt down, which that wouldn't kill me, because I really would like to seal the entire cowl off from the elements, and that would allow me to basically put like a weather strip seal that I could bolt that panel down on and seal it up, keep the elements out of there, keep all the crap from washing down in the 2 ends into the kick panels and rusting everything out. The other thing is just getting all the steering fit. I do have to finish welding and grinding and smoothing all this stuff out. Grind that back down. Just basically get it to where I can smooth it all out. If I can get this wiper motor to fit inside of there, then I can go ahead and I can blank this hole off for the wiper motor. The other thing though is if I can do some modifications maybe to the wiper arms, I might be able to just sit this wiper motor in here into that way, which I like, but it hits right over in here, so I would have to dent that in to get it to fit. Or maybe I can get it to fit up, you know, somewhere like there. If I do, I'll still have to weld in a plate, but then I'll be able to recut and drill for the screws to hold that wiper motor. And if I do that, then I will probably most likely end up having to modify some of these wiper arms to get them to work. I may be able to keep the old wiper linkage and run off of the new motor without all this other added extra stuff in there. But we'll see. It's all details. I was also working on the control arms. I got the ball joints and the cross shafts and the bushings out of the upper A-arms. I still have to do the lower A-arms, but I think that's going to take a different technique. Then clean up the springs. I was also working on cleaning the front subframe, just spraying it down with more simple green to try and degrease more of it, because that needs to be as clean as possible. I mean, it's got like 40 years of gunk on it, so almost 40, 38 or 39, whatever years. So I really want to do that, get that cleaned up, because if I powder coat it or paint it, I don't want the grease messing everything up. I do have a set of the Arrow Catch shear pin latches for the hood, so I will end up having to work those into it. I was thinking these doors, I could take these doors off. I could actually use the doors from the Camaro that's sitting in the yard, the one I call the black Camaro, because those doors were blasted down to the metal, and then I shot a coat of primer on them. They're actually in pretty good shape, very few dents compared to these doors, and that would save me some time if I just use those doors from the other Camaro, and then that gives me time to work on these doors, and I can put them back on the other Camaro, and in the meantime get this one finished to meet my goal that I want to hit for the Colorado Springs airstrip attack. So that's basically what I'm looking at and what I'm working on. So a little bit every day goes a long way. So, you know, a lot of this stuff I'm just learning myself, and I'm just jumping in with both feet, because I've learned that on YouTube there's a lot of people fabricators and mechanics, and you can find pretty much anything you want on YouTube. And those people do the YouTube channels because they love what they do. They honestly love the fabricating. They love the wrenching. They just love what they do. And if you comment, if you ask questions, they will be more than happy to share their expertise and knowledge with you. And if they don't know, a lot of them take that as a challenge to learn even more about what they love. So even if they don't know, a lot of them are more than willing to jump in and help figure it out with you. So they're a great resource. So even if you don't know, don't be afraid to just get in there and do it, because the resources are there for you. Even if you're not part of a group in person, YouTube is a huge resource, or even the internet. Forums are kind of old school, but they're still out there. So there's a lot of those things, a lot of Facebook groups, people that will actually help you, because that's what they love to do. So I'm learning this stuff myself, and I just jump in there and do it. If there's something I'm like, oh man, what did I do? I just go to YouTube, try and look stuff up. If I can't find it, maybe I'll ask somebody, or ask if they can point me in a direction to somebody who might know, because it's a whole network, and it's no longer just like your local community. It's kind of worldwide. So don't be afraid to just get in there and do it. And if you hit a glitch, hit a hard spot, just hit some people up on YouTube and ask. So like I said, a little every day goes a long way. Just get in there and do it. Don't be afraid. Like, subscribe, share, ring the bell, and we'll see you later.